Hi and welcome back. And Older, he's the champion here, and he does come across as a sort of a wise figure. I like how relaxed he is about everything. It kind of implies that, yeah, he knows how to do stuff. He's not a fool. And he has one bitchin' hairdo. And I just realised that his hairdo actually does look like a Pokemon he uses. So that might have been intentional. And he seems a very outdoorsy figure. I mean, he wears sandals and a poncho. Okay, now on to Route 5. We have the sort of chef here. Now, I think when it comes to these chef characters, you come here to sell items like the big mushroom. Kind of pointless, but I guess if you want to earn a little cash. I do like the use of trailers in this generation. I mean, it is meant to be based off America. I guess they were going for like the big wide open frontier. And if I haven't said so before, I do really like the forests in autumn. You get this wonderful golden reddish brown. Now, I guess there's not really much to talk about in this this route, because there's just a few trainers here. I would recommend you grind them. You grind by battling them, I mean. Now, defeating that musician there will give you an electric guitar, which is one of the props you can use for the musical. Again, the musical is much like the contests from Gen 4, but I never really liked them. That's mainly because I didn't really know what was going on. I guess it does provide another option for Pokemon, but meh. You know, actually, I do wonder what's going on here. There's sort of a trailer, a cook selling food, and a musician with an acoustic guitar. It just seems Older has organised a little fiesta here, a little get together. Backpackers. When it comes to these backpacker characters, they kind of remind me of students, because that's something, well, they do in Britain sometimes. Before they go to university, they take a year out and explore the third world or something, like Thailand. So that's what I'm reminded of. So anyway, speaking of Cumberbatch, the character by the actor by Pokemon is named after, yeah, he's sort of hit the big time now with his part with Star Trek Into Darkness. Oh, and apparently he's Khan. Yeah, because sort of that white Englishman looks just like a Sikh warrior, doesn't he? Zinc, a very useful item there. I think that raises special defense. I'm just saying that off the top of my head. Oh, and here we see another example of this game's fetish for bridges. Oh yeah, more bridges. So I guess if you're a gym leader, that's like a position of status in the Pokemon world. At least the sunset looks nice, I'll give it that. And this bridge is bright red, and I think someone here commentates that it's like the colour of a Charizard, which is kind of a weird way to get a Gen 1 reference in here. Now, as for this bridge, you can actually catch a Pokemon here, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Now, the way you catch a Pokemon on the bridge, you can see here, is just to walk underneath the shadows here, and you'll encounter a Ducklet. Now, we've sort of had Duck Pokemon before, with Psyduck and Golduck, but this is really more of a a water flying type Pokemon. Now this Pokemon I will actually be using on my team. Granted, I guess the problem is that it's not the strongest Pokemon, but I like the design, and it's a water flying type, so I would say that's a good combination, because it means it's not weak to grass, and it's not weak to ice either. Still 4 times weak to electricity, but anyway, the point is I do like the design of its second evolutionary form, Swanna, and that's essentially why I'm using it, because I just like its design. Looking through the Pokeballs here, I decided on the Netball. I forget how the Netball works. I think it's better on Bug and Water Pokemon. So let's hope that works here. Unfortunately, it does. Now, when I first saw this Pokemon, its second form I'm thinking about, it seemed very primp, very proper, and very noble. But also kind of a little goofy, I guess. So I decided to name it after David Mitchell, who is a sort of British TV personality, a comedian slash presenter slash writer. So yeah, if you look at Swanna, it just said David Mitchell to me. Now, when it comes to the gimmick of catching this Pokemon walking underneath the shadow, I kinda like it, although I do wonder what does that represent. Does it mean the ducks are falling on me? That's kind of weird. That, and I do also like the aspect of the shadows being easy to dodge. Then that way you're not really forced, you know, that way if you don't want an encounter, you don't have to go through one. Of course, I called him Mitchell rather than David, because I think David Mitchell himself would prefer if I used his surname. And yeah, you know, this region is based off New York, but this bridge seems very similar to the Golden Gate Bridge of San Francisco. So it makes me wonder, whenever someone needs to cross this bridge, do they need to get the gym leader? Seems very inefficient to me. So anyway, here we find ourselves in this city. Driftvale. Oh, got a nice piece of modern art there. Oh, and there we go, there's the Charizard reference. Again, kind of an obscure reference. Hey look, the water's blue. Is that a reference to Blastoise? Oh my god, look at that, look at the American stereotype. Japan, for shame. Anyway, talk to Clay here, and of course you can tell he's the gym leader. I pretty much like Clay. He's kind of a no-nonsense action type of guy. But yeah, things aren't quite as they seem as you enter the city. Apparently Team Plasma are up to no good again, and they're being held up in the cold storage. So anyway, partners, let's go there and smoke them out. I don't really know much about cowboys. I think the last thing I remember is the film Wild West. But yeah, I do remember. Well, I don't remember myself, but westerns used to be huge across the world. No, actually, the last western thing I saw was a Doctor Who episode, and not modern Who, but old Who. It's an episode where the Doctor goes back in time to the OK Corral, and they sort of act it out. And I guess to go a bit off topic about Doctor Who, I noticed that in old Doctor Who they just go through the historical events. In modern Who, they go back in time and they throw in like an alien or something. Oh, anyway, here we have the pledge moves. Now, these are moves learned by your starter Pokemon, and it's essentially your grass pledge, fire pledge, and water pledge. And I guess the idea is that you use it in double battles, and these attacks sort of team up together. Now, of course, I won't be doing much double battling with a fellow starter Pokemon, so I'm not really going to learn it. But I think it goes, say, if your one Pokemon uses Water Pledge, and another Pokemon uses Grass Pledge, then that becomes like a Grass-powered attack. And if it's a Fire Pledge and a Grass Pledge, then it becomes a Fire attack. Essentially, it's the type that beats the other type, which takes precedent. You know, it becomes some sort of super-de-duper double attack, and so on and so forth. Again, I guess it would be very interesting to use in a double battle, but yeah, it seems too situational for me. Now this bug here wants to introduce us to a new mechanic introduced in this generation. And that is the triple battle. Now, in this generation they have triple battles, but they also have something else called rotation battles. And honestly, the rotation battles are actually really interesting. The triple battles are kind of not. And yeah, essentially the triple battles works like dual battles, except it's triple. Although, the thing is with these battles is that the range is kind of sucky. Essentially, if your Pokemon on the left, you can't attack a Pokemon on their far right. Like, your middle Pokemon can attack both, and that can be a bit frustrating. Damn, Basculin's a beast. Especially when you consider it might have the Technician ability. If you're wondering what exactly I'm talking about, it's his usage of the move Aqua Jet. It does 40 power, but it always goes first. And the ability Technician also powers up weaker moves. So, and admitted that the formation of this team is not good. I've liked my water. Oh, actually, I just realised Palpitoad is actually a water ground type, so it's actually an okay setup. But of course, I think my first priority should be getting Jack Black out of there. And this does show off this sort of annoying thing about these triple battles, and of course that is the fact that Cumberbatch can't attack Basculin. Like, I'm not complaining about it. I mean, the game mechanic does make sense, but again, that's the point, that these triple battles are a bit convoluted and they take ages to. Essentially, they just seem to drag out more. Now, the rotation battles, they are much more interesting, and I can't wait to show you one of those. Poor Cumberbatch. Hey, if you're so smart, Khan, why don't you work out a way to beat Basculin? Anyway, I do like Basculin. He's a vicious little Pokemon, but yeah. And poor Cumberbatch can do nothing but use the move Growth. So anyway, that was triple battle. Kind of convoluted for my liking. But anyway, join me again in the next part.